a shot to do what?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Protect Our Queens podcast presented by the Give Us a Shot Network. With me, as always, my partner in crime, my brother in Christ, Martin Sories. How we feeling tonight, man?
Another night, feeling great. Another great, legitimately legendary guest we have lined up for tonight. Very excited about that. Another one of our New Jersey queens, one of our many out of this great state of New Jersey, this great basketball state. Basketball needs New Jersey. So I'm hyped, man. I'm excited, man. Whenever we got an important guest, I'm always fired up, man. So great stuff in store for tonight, and obviously next week. It's an exciting time, man. Exciting time for the Protect Our Queens podcast.
Look, man, officially 1 year of Protect Our Queens is Thursday. We are celebrating a year of Protect Our Queens next Tuesday, September 17th. Same time, 7 p.m., same place, YouTube, the Give Us a Shot Network, with what I would probably say is going to be the most dynamic episode of Protect Our Queens we've done in the year that we've been doing Protect Our Queens. It's the most, we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about, a lot of great people coming on the show, a lovely surprise for everyone that, as I mentioned on the show last week, had me ready to run through a wall as we were getting it ready. It's like, I'm pumped, bro. I know you're pumped. I know the people that are going to be joining us next week are pumped. If you're joining us live, if you're watching this back, we hope you're pumped as well. Make sure that you are tapped in with us throughout the course of the week. We're going to be dropping a little bit of hints and nuggets on the page on Instagram. So make sure you're following at @ProtectOurQueens_, because next week's going to be, as they say in the wrestling world, next week's going to be cinema. It's going to be absolute cinema, and you don't want to miss it. And I'm
as the kids would put it, it's a movie. It's a movie.
It's going to be a movie. It's going to be a movie. It's going to be a movie. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Before we get into our interview for the night, before we bring our guest of honor on for tonight, as you guys all know by now, and if you're joining us, Martin and I like to take a couple minutes at the top of the show, just kind of talk about what's new in the world of women's basketball. And there's one thing in particular that I just kind of wanted to take some time and talk about. And I didn't give Martin the heads up on this because I honestly didn't really have anything for this segment until literally like early this morning when I kind of woke up and kind of sat down and I thought about it. And so, Martin, I wanted to ask you a question. It's a question that we've kind of talked about on the show before, but I wanted to unpack it a little bit for a couple minutes because it came up again in my Instagram comments and in my response to something. So is there a difference, in your opinion, Martin, in playing like a top 10, top 7, top 5, whatever player, and actually being a top 10, top 7, top 5, whatever player? And if so, how do you distinguish between being that and playing like that, in your opinion?
That's a good question, Dwayne Marcus. That's a nuanced question. We're looking at objective versus subjective in that you have to be, I think, objectively, you can look at who's playing like a top 5 player right now. Sure. Like there are things objectively that you can say to argue that, for instance, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was playing like a top 5 player in the NBA last year. That's something that you could fairly argue. But then you get into the subjective side of things where some people who look at the game a certain way might start listing their top 5 players and say, wait, I still have LeBron in my top 5. I still have Steph Curry in my top 5. Sure. Some people may still have KD in their top 5. And they start saying, well, I don't have room for Shai in this top 5 because I'm not just going off objectively who are the top 5 players right now. I'm telling you who I think are the best 5 players still in the NBA. So it's kind of a thin line. Like most things, it kind of depends who you're talking to. But there is a distinction that can be made if you're talking to reasonable basketball people between who is top 5 right now and who's playing top 5 basketball right now. Usually those two things, I would say usually the two are pretty synonymous. Like if you're playing
Sure.
top 5 basketball, you should just be deemed a top 5 player right now. But
Sure.
I do think it can be a thin line, and there can be some conflict there depending on who you're talking to and who you're
So,
talking about.
that's, and I appreciate I appreciate the context of nuance, because I do think it's a very nuanced thing, as you mentioned. So with that like frame of mind for you right now, is Caitlin Clark a top 5, top 10 player in the WNBA? Based on what we've seen her do in her rookie season, would you comfortably say that there are not 10 players definitively better, or 10 players that you can make an argument for being better than Caitlin Clark right now in the WNBA?
I think comfortably she's in my top 10. I think she would fall in my I think she would fall in the bottom 5. I think she would be like 8, 9, maybe fall at 10.
Sure.
But I think right now I could probably comfortably make the argument that she's in my top 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I just wanted to ask, and the reason why is because MJ Miles, he had posted on Instagram a reel of him on his show talking with his guy Kobe and the other guy he has on the show, who I'm blanking, I apologize, about no one would take a, like, if you're starting a team, yes, if you're starting a team, you wouldn't start a team. No one would start a team with Angel Reese before they start a team with Caitlin Clark. And Kobe, I think, made a great point. And the point that Kobe made is quite simply the things that Angel Reese does on the basketball court that are intangible. She has a lot of intangibles that you just can't teach, that would make her desirable. And to your point, I saw your comment for defensive minded head coaches.
Yeah.
They would look at that and say, yeah, I want that.
Or a coach is obsessed with rebounding. Like,
or coaches obsessed with rebounding.
You know,
right.
Like, yeah.
And my position was such that if you are of the mindset that Angel Reese is only good at rebounding, which is the overwhelming narrative right now about Angel, that she's only good at this one thing, then it makes sense that you are triggered at the idea that a coach might take Angel before they take Caitlin. If you actually sit down and you watch not just what Angel has done this season, but also like when she was at her best at LSU the last 2 years, you know that there's more to Angel's game than just rebounding the basketball. And for that reason, taking Angel before Caitlin to start a team isn't crazy. The Caitlin Clark being top 10 part came in because I had a lot of people saying, oh, well, Caitlin Clark's a top 5 playmaker right now, or she's a top 5 player right now, or she's comfortably top 7. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I know that Chelsea Gray missed a bunch of time. I know that Kelsey Plum and Jack Young haven't been playing the way that we thought that they were going to be playing this season. I know that Ryan Howard is a big question mark for a lot of people, but like, if every player in the WNBA is at their best, I don't know if Caitlin Clark is a top 10 player. That doesn't mean she doesn't have an argument for it. I'll never tell you she doesn't have an argument to be top 10. But if I start going down and thinking about every player in the W right now is at their best, how many players would I list off at their best before I get to Caitlin at her best, who, by the way, we haven't seen Caitlin Clark at her best. So we also have to keep that in mind as well, right? And as you're going down that list, at least for me anyway, we're getting real close to like 9, 10 before I would consider saying Caitlin's name. And it's just, so I wanted to ask that question because I think right now we're still kind of like in that time with Caitlin where it's still, things are still kind of new, and she's been playing great post break. And so now there's a lot of like wanting to like, ooh, I told you, and ooh, they said she wouldn't do this and do that. And so now it's quickly, oh yeah, she's top 10. But like, let's think about it for a second. Like, there are a lot of players who aren't really playing at their best right now that if they were playing at their best, I don't know if we would still be rushing to put her in these conversations. And so she's playing like a top 10 player right now. I would say this season she's certainly been a top 10
playing
player.
The way she's playing is like she's playing like a top 5 player right now. She's definitely playing like a top 5, maybe top 3 guard right now.
Absolutely. I don't know if there is, I don't know this season just off the top of my head, and you'll probably think of a name, you'll probably throw a name out there that I'm thinking of, but like after Sabrina, I don't know if there's been another guard consistently playing better than like Caitlin this season. I don't know. So that's certainly fair. Like I'm not denying that, but like just on the overall pantheon of like everyone at their best, like
and it's hard to like the way Caitlin's playing now is making it very exciting and very reasonable to start, saying what she is and maybe top 5, top 10, whatever. But it can still be tough because we do have, it's like the sample size thing. Like we still have evidence of like Jackie Young being, an elite two-way guard, championship level, right? Like we still have sample sizes of more sample sizes of other players. We're just starting to see Caitlin kind of get into, and we haven't seen her best yet, but we're starting to, it feels like, get a little close to it. Like she's playing her best basketball by far just this year, but it's just her first year. So I think it's getting exciting to start putting her in stuff like I mentioned before. She's making a case for first team All NBA, first team All WNBA. So that in itself puts her in, top 10, top 15, whatever, like automatically. So I think there's a lot of excitement right now.
And I would say at this point, given the way that she's playing post break, I would be shocked if she's not first team All WNBA. Honestly,
me too.
Because again, like I think you have your 4 shoe-ins. You have Asia, Stewie, Sabrina, and Nafisa. I know before, right, there was the argument of like maybe it's Kalia Copper, but like with the way that she's been playing post break, I don't know if you can still make that argument to put anyone ahead of Caitlin for that 5th part. And she's earned it. Like the way that she's been playing over the last month or so, she has certainly earned the right to be in that conversation. So it's just, to me, it's always just been a difficult conversation to have because it's like, she's playing like it, but there's a lot of players that were already in that conversation that for one reason or another have just not been playing at that level that we expect them to play this season. And like, if they were, I don't know if we're still having those conversations, but that's like the great thing about like sports, the fluidity of it and being able to have those conversations. And she deserves to be in those conversations. I won't deny it. She definitely deserves to be in those conversations the way that she's been playing this season.
It's a real thing where players have up years, they have down years. Next year we could have a new crop of guards playing a different kind of basketball. Like, that is the beauty of the diversity of talent across the league, where you may say names or people are like, well, she's not really doing much this year. It's like, this is a down year for her. Like, look at her last year or 2 years ago or whatever. And then, those players could come back and be looking a lot better next year. Last point, you have people who have like Alyssa Thomas still over Caitlin Clark in like MVP conversations, in overall player conversations. And, casuals who look at Alyssa Thomas's stats will be like, well, how is that even possible? Right. Caitlin scores and assists at a higher rate than anybody, but for people who are still watching games and looking at the impact, they still have an argument to say, hey, I see. And plus Alyssa Thomas's team is winning more. You can make the argument she has somewhat of a bigger impact on winning with all the different things she does. So it's, again, very much a nuanced conversation.
Well, Martin, do you want to do the honors of introducing our guest of honors before we hit the intro and get started with the interview for tonight?
Yes, sir. Another legend joins the show tonight in her own right, hailing from my home state of New Jersey. Just another one of our Jersey gems that we are so proud to claim and to support. One of our many just phenomenal basketball queens out of New Jersey, a legend in her own right. She was all state her freshman year of high school and led her team to a state title. The first freshman to do that, by the way, to make an all-state team in New Jersey. She's a New Jersey legend, University of Maryland legend, a pros pro, as we like to call them, a certified pro, still a pro. This woman is dangerous. She is sharp. She is smart. She is one of the best there is, in my opinion. We have the wonderful Miss Laurin Mincy joining us on the show tonight.
Yes, we do. So we're going to hit the intro and we are going to bring Miss Laurin Mincy on the show.
Let's go, man. Let's hit it.
Protect our queens.
No matter what it takes, we must protect our queen.
I mean, I just love playing the game. It's fun.
I'm reacting on what the defender does.
I hit them with a hezzy. After that, they quit.
Yeah, I think I've always just been able to get downhill. So I've sort of prided myself on that.
I know what I'm doing. Like, people can't tell me I'm not doing the right, like, I've been taught the right way.
All right. Dwayne Marcus, let me tell you, man, whatever it takes, whatever it costs, whatever we got to do, we must protect and support our queen, this legend, Laurin Mincy. What's up, Laurin? How you doing?
What's up? Thank you so much for having me.
We are so glad to have you here on the podcast tonight. And anyone who's tapping in and watching with us live, feel free to show Laurin some love in the comments. Yes, sir. Show our queen some love. Laurin, it's so good to have you here. Marcus, let me give you a little bit of context as to why this one is dangerous.
I love it when Martin gives me context. I love it.
Just you'll appreciate this. It's a minor detail, but it's a major thing. And she understands, but this isn't nothing to her because this is what she does. when you have a female who boys are looking to train with, you're dealing with a different animal. So you're just off the bat, you're dealing with a different animal. So Laurin trains my cousin Jaden, my little cousin, who you know that I train and stuff and mentor and whatever. And he's got a couple friends, like family members who train with Laurin. And then I started looking up and I see Jaden in the gym with this girl. I'm like, who is this girl training my cousin? And I look around and I mean, that's how I didn't even know Laurin before. I still haven't even met her in person yet. And I'm every time I look, I'm looking, and then I just start admiring. I'm watching the workouts. I'm taking stuff from her. I'm just admiring her work. So I just wanted to put that out there. And I kind of wanted to start with that, Laurin, before we kind of get into your backstory a little bit. I mean, what has that been like for you? Were you attracting or pursuing boys to train when you first started training? Did that start right away? How did that develop for you to start training boys?
It actually started in the pandemic. So I was looking for a way with one of my friends, Playware at Maryland, Chloe Pavlik. We were looking for a way to just get the kids busy during the time. I felt even like myself, found myself in the house a lot of the time, just watching TV, paying too much attention to the news. And I needed to find a way to get back to exercising. So we decided to do some ball handling drills on live for the kids on Overtime Women's Basketball, Monday through Friday for about 30 minutes. So what started as, again, something just to help the kids, keep busy and to grow during the time, evolved into myself becoming a trainer. Now, again, I wasn't attracting boys initially. It just kind of organically worked that way. So I went from doing lives to going outside in the park. Okay. And so I started offering free workouts in the park, and lo and behold, a bunch of boys just start showing up, and it kind of just kept building from there.
Hey, and Mark, listen, you know that doesn't just happen. It's 'cause she got the sauce. The girl got the sauce. And I'm not just talking about, fancy stuff. I'm talking about the game. The girl, any legit player who looks over, see the stuff she's doing, that's that real work. Trust me, that's the real work right there.
I mean, look, if Martin has a lot of great things to say, I mean, obviously we definitely have a legend. I remember when we were first looking to get you on the show, Laurin, I remember there was a lot of like excitement coming from Martin. He's like, I got another girl from Jersey we're having on the show. And I was like, we keep having all these people from Jersey, like these states. God, let's get a girl from New York or something. But I sit down, I'm scrolling through Instagram. I'm finding all this cool stuff about you. I saw you went to University of Maryland, which is like not that far from me. I'm from DC, so I love that. I saw that you play with Athletes Unlimited, which I love that as well, because I love what's happening over there. So much greatness happening. So I guess like my first thing, I guess, just with Maryland specifically, right? Because in all of my years of life, like Maryland, for the most part, for as long as I've really been tapped into women's basketball, a pretty okay program. I know it wasn't always that way. I know there were times like when it was, better than what it's been recently. But can you just, I guess, start off just by talking about like what your experience was playing at Maryland, kind of what that meant for you, like the decision going into all that, and like any big things you took away from that time playing out there?
Honestly, during that time, it was so much going on with me. I actually went into my senior year with a torn ACL, so I lost my senior year. So I didn't think that would impact my recruiting. And Maryland kept their loyalty to me and kept their word. And I ended up deciding to go to Maryland. There were a couple of factors that went into that decision. Obviously, a Jersey girl. Played around the state. I started playing AAU with a local team called the New Jersey Crusaders. Moved on to another local team, which my older sister was playing for. She actually played basketball as well at Howard. She was playing with the New Jersey Flames. And so I kind of just started off playing locally, and everything kind of just started from there. Once I got to Maryland, again, a couple of factors was that I wanted to be a little further away from home. I was looking for a little bit of independence, and I thought, Maryland being at the time 3.5 hours away from home, it was far enough, but close enough for my family to still come see all my games. And a couple of my other family members lived in the area, so if I needed any support, they were close by. Another factor was that we had the #1 recruiting class in the country coming in at the time. So I came in with Alyssa Thomas, Natasha Cloud, Whitney Bays, and Alicia Devon. And if you look at that lineup across the board, we're like huge. All right, you have Tasha at the 3. She's a big guard. Myself at the 2, big guard. Alyssa at the 3, Alicia Devon. And then we had players there. Again, I can name them: Lynetta Kaiser, Tiana Hawkins. Our front line was crazy at the time. So those were the factors really that were going into my decision there. And then just the area, the culture, being in the DMV. Maryland was definitely well known for their business school and their academics. And I thought that was the best choice for me at the time.
You mentioned your big sister and the fact that she played. Was she one of your bigger influences coming up? And who else were your influences coming up and studying the game?
I would say she definitely was a big influence. We had a lot of battles growing up together. She's 4 years older than me, and so she was definitely always physical. We played 2 different positions, so she played the post and I played on the wing. And so anytime she caught the ball, I had to, learn to be physical and tough because she was going to throw those elbows and bang me down low. So definitely my sister, Trace McGrady, definitely a big one for me growing up. Obviously Michael Jordan, Teresa Weatherspoon. When I was growing up, my dad actually bought me season tickets to the Liberty game for like 3 years in a row. So those were my first experiences to seeing that, okay, this is something that I might can do that didn't exist a couple of years prior. So I want to say just a load of everybody. Anytime that I could watch basketball, be around basketball, and just basketball as a kid, like I was there. I was the girl playing NBA Live, NBA 2K, NBA Street Ballers just because it was basketball. Or I think about any sitcoms, any basketball segments in those sitcoms, I was locked in because of that orange basketball. And so I think in terms of just influences, it just helped my creativity on the court. And I think that just what made me so unique and special when people talk about my game. I still don't see what it is, but people say that it's just something that you got to see.
You talk about, how locked in you were with basketball and obsessed with basketball you were. And I know there's a lot of, really good classic basketball movies out there. Like if you had to, I guess, like put a Mount Rushmore together of basketball movies, what would that Mount Rushmore look like?
Oh man. Okay. All right. So I gotta go original, and every girl's #1 is gonna be loving basketball. Come on. That's very obvious. So we're gonna just throw that one out there. But real basketball fan, I'm gonna go with He Got Game. I gotta go with He Got Game. Glory Road. I'm gonna throw that one out there. I'm gonna throw Glory Road out there. We got 2 more. I gotta throw it out for the culture, Coach Carter. Coach Carter. And
Culture.
I'm gonna throw an owl, and I'm gonna throw Airbud out there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shout out Airbud. Yeah.
I'll take Airbud.
Shout out Airbud. Shout out
that
Airbud.
ball off the
Shout out
nose.
Airbud.
That was remarkable stuff, man. That was tough stuff.
Shout out Airbud.
Laurin, usually women, I grew up with Tasha Pointer, Cappie Pondexter, So I had an up close, experience with women playing high level and getting a sense of their backgrounds. And even to this day, usually when I talk to women who play at a high level, usually more often than not, we hear stories about them playing with boys a lot coming up. So was that your experience? And I found it interesting that you have an older sister who is also a post player, because usually the story will be like playing with the boys kind of toughened me up. Got to play just a little more physical, got to get used to that. And it sounds like you got a lot of that just playing with your older sister, but I'm sure you were playing with some boys at certain times based on how you give it up. So what was your experience with that?
My experience is it's funny. So I spent a lot of time with my grandma after school. So my granddad would come pick me up. I went to St. Joseph School in East Orange, and it's funny because I just started training back there recently.
Wow.
And so it's a full circle moment. I'm in a place where it all started for me. So again, my granddad would pick me up from school, and I also have two older boy cousins that would come there after school. Again, they're 5 years older than me. At the time, at the beginning, we all didn't have a hoop outside. So I would try to find anything I can make to emulate a basketball, whether it was rolling up some socks and shooting it in the laundry basket. I can think about times where I was wasting my grandmom's foil and I was rolling it up into balls and shooting inside the trash can. And eventually they're like, we got to get this girl a hoop. So spending so much time there after school, my mom didn't get off till 6. My dad was a fireman. So again, he would have a 24-hour schedule and have 3 days off. So on those days when he couldn't be there, I would just go to my grandmom's house. So they finally got me a hoop, but then that came with restrictions. So I would go to my grandmom's house in my uniform, and then I would go outside and ruin it. So the first restriction came where I had to bring a change of clothes every day because I would go straight outside. The second restriction was that I would come home and I had to get my homework finished. So again, I was always very intentional when I was younger. I wanted to play basketball and have so much free time for myself that I would do my homework in class. Right? I would get it done and get it out the way. I didn't want to hear anybody telling me no. I would do everything that I was supposed to do, cross my T's and dot my I's so I could get it done. And then the third restriction was again that I had to wait for my older cousins to get home from school. And so I would get out at maybe 3:30, and they were in high school. So they were going to a school that was a couple of minutes away, mainly like 20 minutes away, but they had to take the bus. So I had to wait for them to get home, and then eventually I could go outside and hoop. So most of my experience was playing against them. And so they were older. People from the area, guys from the neighborhood would come down to our driveway. And that was pretty much my playing experience. We were playing 21, one-on-one. And that's really how I learned how to play basketball. My dad was another big influence on my life in terms of the game. He's taught me everything I know. And then during those times, I would actually be going to different camps. So he would send me to Rutgers Newark. Again, camp environment. We all know we're doing fundamental drills. You're probably playing knockout, one-on-one, the basics. But he always did a great job in putting me in different environments. So Rutgers Newark, and then he sent me to Westside Park, right? So like now I'm in the hood and I'm going to camp. And then he sent me to Essex County camp, right? So now I'm with kids, again, all around the area, boys, girls, competing. And that's kind of how I like gained my reputation, my name from then, right? I wasn't even going to schools in Newark. I was technically an East Orange kid until I went to high school. And so no one knew of me. It's like I popped up out of nowhere. But those kids from those areas and from camp remembered me when I came back. And they're like, oh yeah, like that's the one. She's the one right there. I remember you from camp. Like it's going to get scary for high school.
Do you remember a specific time when you when you first like gave a boy the business? It doesn't have to be a boy, but anybody. Was there a time when it clicked, when it was like, oh, like I'm nice and I know I'm nice?
I want to say like in school at St. Joe's, we would do these little competition games where they would give each kid a number and they would call the number out and they would throw the ball up and you had to go one-on-one. Like I couldn't wait to those gym days. I would like make my dad go to the store and give me the new pair of Jordans so they could match my outfit. It was a light blue, light blue shirt with the navy blue sweatpants, my sweat socks on. I would get ready for gym every Wednesday, right? And I knew we would have basketball, so I would get prepared. And so it was during those times that I knew that, I have a gift. And some of those, it's like it came natural. I was a natural competitor, a natural leader as well. And so my main goal just coming into anything athletically was just to win. And so it really, really started at a young age. And I've just kept that confidence with me since then.
Just
Hey,
real quick thing, Marcus. I'm sorry. Color coordination used to matter. Like when
It
I came
did.
up, my
I don't know what
sister
happened.
Sasha, if I came out with black socks and white shoe, or like if I'm wearing blue shorts and red sneakers, my sister Tasha would send me back to my room and be like,
You
yo,
look
your
good.
shorts do not match your
You
sneakers.
play
Your
good.
shirt does not match your socks. Laurin, what is the I've been trying to explain. My brother's the fashion person, so he has more credibility here. So I can't, I can't really criticize, but I've just been curious in this. And Laurin, I'm just curious if you notice the same thing. What is this new trend with just not matching, wearing orange sneakers with blue shorts, and what's going on? Can you give me some insight
I'm
on
telling
that?
you, I've tell people this, like we're just going recycling back in time. We're in the 2000s. Think
Yeah,
about it.
that's
Think
what
about the NSYNC era. We're back there. That's exactly what we were wearing at the time. Baggy, bright,
Yeah.
eccentric colors, maybe not matching goggles. Like I think I always want to like post like you guys are going to look back at this time like 3 years from now and it looks like everybody is dressing for Halloween, respectfully. Like Halloween every day of the week.
Bright green and purple sneakers, and I mean, kids are just wearing any colors. There's
That
no
can't be
coordination
everybody's
happening.
style. That is not everybody's style.
Everybody
But
can't
I
jack
understand,
that, right? Like it's
yeah.
Like, what's
It's
going
not for
on?
everyone.
Yeah, fashion. I think it's a fashion statement thing, and I just
They call it high fashion. High fashion,
I was just going to say those games in PE taught me that I needed to talk about sports and not play them, but never went well. Broke a couple pairs of glasses. never went well for young Marcus in PE trying to play basketball. But Laurin, going back to UMD for just a second, you talked about coming into your recruiting class with players like Natasha Cloud and Alyssa Thomas. If you could, not trying to put you on the spot or get you in hot water with anyone at all, but if you could name some of the best former University of Maryland players, either players that you've played with or just players that have, great players that have gone through the program there, who would you say are some of the best players to ever put on the UMD uniform there?
Some of the best players. Okay, so I can talk from this standpoint. The players that inspired me to come there was Marissa Coleman, Christy Tolliver. I think about that 2006 national team. That was the reason why I came there. I was always someone that loved to win, but I loved making my own mark. And so obviously UConn and the Tennessees, and they were known for winning during that time. And I wanted to try kind of be the underdog and try to knock them off the throne. And I seen that they, pulled that example off, and that, mostly inspired me to go there. Obviously, Alyssa Thomas, man, we're gonna go Diamond Miller.
Ooh.
Got to give Diamond Miller. She came there after me, another Jersey girl. Knocked down some walls while she was there. Tiana Hawkins, Lynetta Kaiser.
Some names, Marcus. Lord.
Renee Mosley. She was my point guard while I was there. We had Shatori Kimball Walker. Brianna Jones. Again, we had Natasha Cloud while she was there. Again, the things she's doing in the lead, top 10 in assists, right? No easy feat. Again, a whole list of others. It was so many people to come out there. Melina Howard, Katie Rutan. We had so many people to make impact. And again, that's why we won with my time there. We didn't really have a losing season. while I was at Maryland.
Those are some names, yo. Marissa Coleman. That was she was one of my favorites, man. God, she was so good at Maryland. So good.
Oh, Angela Barrett.
Oh, ooh.
Angela Barrett. Ooh, yeah.
Now, Laurin,
New York.
this is what I want to know. Who is the toughest player you've ever guarded? Practice, game, street, any time, anywhere. Who's the toughest player you ever guarded?
Okay. So I'm definitely gonna give you two answers.
Okay.
One right off the back, I have to say Alyssa Thomas. She is really your female LeBron. What she's doing now is what she was doing when we were at Maryland. We at the time we were playing the same position. I know she plays more of the 4 now, but at the time she was going between, I want to say, the 2 and the 4 position at the time, and so we matched up a lot of the times. And so taking that pounding every day, right? Like she definitely has me about 30, 40 pounds, And so just, iron sharpens iron. Going against her every day, even in our workouts, they always paired us up. And I think we did a great job of making each other better. But again, her size, her tenacity, she's going to give you 100% on every play, and she's relentless. She's not going to stop, and she's one of the biggest competitors I've ever met in my life. Like she probably hates losing like more than me, right? And that really does say a lot because I'm super competitive, but like she can't stand losing. She's probably a sore loser. She's gonna get me from saying this, but again, definitely motivating to have somebody again there to pretty much just set the standard for us. And again, she led us to win all those years, and I was there to support her through those times. So definitely her, definitely Alyssa Thomas. There's somebody else on the wing, man. There's a couple of people that gave me some issues. I think about aerial powers. I think about size for me. So tough guards would be, again, long, athletic guards that may be a little bit more physical. I think about Chelsea Gray, tough guard. Her size, her vision, her creativity, being able to score, right? So the more you have in your bag, obviously, and mental here, right? If you know the game and you understand reads and rotations, and you know that you want to get the highest percentage shot as possible, when you have that in a player, it's definitely hard to guard. So yeah, I would definitely say Chelsea Gray. I think about Shanice Johnson. I think about, she went to Miami. She played for the Fever. I think about Raquana Williams. When we were in the ACC, we played Miami, and I missed being in the ACC at the time because there was a lot of athletic guards. When we moved to the Big Ten, things changed in terms of the style of play. But I would definitely say, again, in terms of just creativity side, definitely Chelsea Gray, Alyssa Thomas, and I think about players like Ariel Powers.
I love how you mentioned like how it's hard to guard, because even when you were talking about Alyssa, I started thinking like, I wonder, and you really explained it so well, because I was wondering, obviously AT hasn't become known as like, a prolific scorer, but I love how you went into that, because we know that she plays physical, so that's one element, but it's also the IQ when you can see things ahead of time, and when you can set people up, and that's just as hard to guard individually as a great scorer, because you don't know how she's going to beat you.
Yeah, she's very being unselfish, right? You also need that in a player, right? You don't need anyone that's, for the most part, again, you need to know when you need to take over again. And what does that mean when we say take over? Does that mean getting a shot for someone else or creating for myself, right? And so I think Alyssa, again, she does a great job of getting the ball out, jamming it and pushing it down your throat, and then making those correct reads. And then at Maryland, she was taking she had the 15-footer there.
Mm.
So she was even tougher to guard at the time because she was taking pull-up jumpers at the free throw line in transition or coming off the screen and pulling up and taking her jump shots. You don't see a lot of that now, but again, she had that, she has her shoulders, her injuries with that, but she definitely had that in her game at that time. And it just made her so much harder to guard. And then on the rebounding end, it's really nothing you can do. She has great hands, big hands, gloves. She can catch the ball, she can throw the ball, and she's going to run through you to get that ball. Right. And so some of that is just dog mentality. Gotta have it.
Real quick, Martin, before we keep going, want to take a second to, first of all, thank everyone that is tapped in with us right now as we're talking to the one and only Laurin Mincy. But I also want to remind you guys that we are 7 days away, less than 7 days away, really, from the 1-year show celebrating a year of Protect Our Queens. As I said at the top of the show, we have a lot of great surprises. It's going to be the most dynamic episode of Protect Our Queens to date, so you don't want to miss it. Martin and I will be spending the rest of this week leading up to the show, dropping nuggets, making announcements here and there about what's going to be on the show and what to expect. So make sure you're following us on Instagram at @ProtectOurQueens_. Make sure you're subscribed to the Give Us a Shot Network. Set a reminder, turn notifications on, do whatever you have to do, because next week's episode of Protect Our Queens celebrating the 1-year show is something you don't want to miss. Laurin, I'm a trivia buff. I'm a numbers guy. Martin knows this.
All right.
He's kind of annoyed with it sometimes. He says it's a TikTok thing. I'm just a nerd. This is where it comes from. I'm just a nerd. There's information I have stored.
Young people, Laurin. These young people.
This head is not big for no reason. There's a lot of useless information in here.
What
so,
you got for me?
when we were doing some digging, when we were putting the show together, there were 4 things I noticed specifically about you connected to something to do with your career in one way or another. And so I put some questions together, and I just want to see if you can get these 4 questions right.
All right.
Okay. We're going to start off very, very easy, right? You mentioned earlier that you are a Michael Jordan fan, right? That's actually one of the first things that Martin and I talked about when we were putting the show together, is how big of a Michael Jordan fan you are. So could you list in order the teams that Michael Jordan beat in the finals and how many games he beat them in?
Oh man, you just killing me right now.
Wow.
I don't got it for you. I want to tell you I don't got it for you.
Can you at least name the teams that he played? You don't have to give me the games. Can you just at least name all the teams that they beat in the finals?
The Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Did they get Boston? No, Detroit.
Mm-mm.
Not the finals.
In the NBA finals. NBA
finals.
So you got the Lakers, you got the Jazz twice, and there's 3 others.
Yeah, Jazz is twice.
Yeah.
3. I'm having a brain fart right now. Damn. I don't know.
So you got the Lakers, the Blazers, the Suns, the Sonics.
Yeah.
Seattle was my favorite.
Yep.
And then the Jazz twice.
Seattle was my favorite.
Yeah, that was a good series.
All right. So in 2015, you were drafted by the New York Liberty in the 3rd round of the draft. Can you name any of the other 4 players that were also drafted by the Liberty that year?
Kia Stokes, Brittany Boyd.
Yep.
That's a lot. Yeah, Brittany Boyd.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Rebecca Allen.
Oh, really?
Rebecca Allen. Mm-hmm.
You're gonna confirm, Marcus? Is that one?
Yeah, confirm it.
I might be wrong. I don't have Rebecca Allen on my list. I'll double check.
Go double check. I got a picture to confirm it. I got a picture to confirm it.
She said it with assurance.
I
remember.
I'm thinking about the picture in my head.
Let me check.
I want to say it was another guard. Amber. What's that her name?
Yes. What's her last name?
What school was it, Marcus? What school is she from? Do you see it?
I didn't put
Okay.
the school down.
Texas or Texas? What was her last name?
Orange.
Yeah, Amber Orange.
Rebecca Allen was a part of the draft class. She's not on my list because she went undrafted that year, so I didn't.
Yeah, there she goes. Yeah,
I
she
didn't
did.
add her onto the list. But Rebecca Allen was also a part of the crew. And then there's
Yeah,
one more.
Amber
You got Brittany
Orange.
Boyd, Kia Stokes, Amber Orange, Rebecca Allen, and there's one more.
There's one more. I should remember this one.
Mm.
It was such a short stint.
You got a few. You got a good memory on you. You
got a-
remember.
yeah,
you
you got a good memory on you.
back.
That's for sure.
Dang. I don't know, who was it? Wait.
Michelle Johnson.
What was her name?
What does it say? It says Michelle Johnson on here. Was the last one.
Michelle Johnson. I don't remember Michelle Johnson.
Last one, actually not last one. Third one.
Okay.
You named some of these players earlier, so I'll see if you can name them back for me. There were 3 players that are in the WNBA right now.
Yeah.
That played for Maryland during your last year at Maryland.
Oh.
Who are those 3 players and where are they in the league?
Lexi Brown, she's with the Sparks.
Yeah.
Shatori's with Washington, and Bree's with Connecticut.
There we go. And then
I got a little bias to those teams. You already know, little bias.
And the last one, just because I want to know, because I know that there's some players that can do this, and there's some players that can't. Do you remember any of your career highs in points, rebounds, assists, steals, or blocks from your time at Maryland?
I definitely remember my rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
This was a really big game. It was my sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
We knocked off the defending champs.
Mm-hmm.
We beat Texas A&M. I recorded, I think, my first career double-double with 21 points and 12 rebounds. And we were down like a lot. Like we had to claw way back into that game. So definitely remember that. Definitely remember that game. And then my going out party from my senior year, I scored my game high of 29.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Well, do you remember any of the other ones?
Say?
Do you remember any of the other ones?
Assists? No, I don't remember the assists.
No. So we have assists is 7.
Where was that? And when was that?
Oh, see. I ain't get the dates for you.
7's a good number. I like
7. And then career high steals is 4, and career high blocks is 2.
Dang, I should have had more blocks.
She said about the blocks.
Yeah, I'm sick. I was like, D Wade. I was a block guard. I was trying to get more blocks. That's so disappointing. I think they robbed me. I think they robbed me for some blocks.
You got to go back to Maryland and check the record.
Blocks? Oh no! Back in the day, I was athletic. I was grabbing that thing.
I can see it. I know that timing was on point. I know you caught people off guard.
So if you could just kind of sticking on that MJ favorite players wave, if you could take players from today's game to build Michael Jordan, what players would you pull from to make a Michael Jordan type player for the WNBA?
I'm taking Enrique. Shot making, clutch, creativity, wiggle, 3 levels. Definitely taking her. I think I'm gonna take DT. I gotta take DT. The longevity, will to win, shooting, going straight up, getting to her spots. It's just seasoned. The game is very seasoned. So I think about Michael Jordan later on in his career. I want to go with Ryan Howard.
Makes sense.
Did I need to go defensively?
It's a nice combination. Like Frankenstein stuff you put together.
Oh, I want to I'm Jackie Young. Jackie Young, two-way, both sides. She'll give me that both sides. And then, see, you always want to, I would throw Asia just for leadership because she dominant. So we just want to throw the MVP. Asia Wilson, we throwing that out there. We taking her dominance. Shoot, we could take a 6'4" MJ. Who wouldn't? Taking the height too, but just how she's just been willing them to win night in and night out. She's killing it. It's just crazy.
You mentioned, I think Teresa Weatherspoon was the first women's player you mentioned. You said T-Mac, you said Mike. I think you said Teaspoon first. Was she your favorite women's player of all time?
Yeah, my favorite women's player. Also like Cheryl Swoops at the time, but I didn't really get to see Cheryl. I got to see Teresa, Becky Hammond, Vicki Johnson, Rebecca Lobo. Again, I got to see those Liberty players consistently in person. And then years later, Teaspoon was on the staff when I got drafted by the Liberty. So again, full circle moment. Everything just kind of fit where it was supposed to.
Wow. And I'm curious, Laurin, what you think about the state of women's basketball right now, seeing where it's come from and the fact that just the energy behind it right now. More people are talking about it. More people are arguing about it. I mean, what's it been like for you? Have you been around? What have you heard people talking about it? Have you been in more conversations about certain things with the WNBA women's basketball lately? I mean, what's your experience been like?
Honestly, it's been crazy to me. I haven't had this many people that I see on the regular asking me about basketball, asking me my opinion on what do you think about this Caitlin Clark and what you think about Angel Reese, or I like Angel Reese, or I like this person, or or that girl is good. And it's a lot. It can be overwhelming, but I think overall everything is good for the league, right? It's sports. And so criticism, that's a part of the game, is going to come with it. And there's more eyes. And so that means it leaves more room for criticism, whether it's good or bad. And so, again, I just think it's amazing. Again, I look at even some players that were playing that could still be playing now, right? Things have changed and things have evolved. And now there's just more marketing behind it. These women were always good. There was always a good show to be seen in terms of women's basketball. But now people are finally actually paying attention to it. And again, of course, I would have loved to, be inside that NIL. I think about what that would have had mean for myself and my family during that time. But again, the game evolves, and so will the rules and everything that surrounds it. And so all you can do is try to, keep myself as attached to the game as possible, because I love doing it and I just want to continue to see it grow. So again, for me, it's super exciting. I got to go to a couple of games. One of my best friends surprised me and bought me tickets. So I got to see Caitlin Clark at the Barclays at the beginning of the season. My best friend, she is actually assistant coach for the LA Sparks, Nola Ray Henry. So anytime she's in the area, I'm able to go tap in with her, and we're always chopping it up with hoops. And so I'm definitely very, very connected and just staying a part of the game. Again, just having teammates and friends that are still playing or maybe playing overseas, or our coaches, and maybe they're in high school coaching, or maybe they're in college coaching, and same thing on the guy side, just having that network that I can pull into and receive different perspectives. It just helps me not only as a player to feel the climate and test the climate of what's going on, but again, it helps me as a trainer and implement the things I need to help the next generation get to where they want to go to.
Just a quick thing I got to ask her, Marcus. Laurin, I may need to bring you on my show because we could have a whole training conversation. I go into the rabbit hole, and
Yeah.
there are things that I would love to get into with you. But you mentioned the evolution of the game and the things you learn as a trainer, and I'm curious from your perspective. What things what have you noticed as a trainer in terms of teaching the game, showing the things that are needed and that work in the game today, because the game has evolved, but one of the things I love about the game is certain things are some of the fundamentals are just never going away. They're always going to work. But even as I've experienced as a trainer, just training kids today play and want to play a different way. The game has evolved. So what's been your experience with that, kind of keeping up with the evolution of the game as a trainer with kids playing today, but kind of staying true to the things that you worked on, that you knew, and that you learned as a player?
That's a great question. I think for me, it's being able to, like I said, be creative and get new information, new ideas from a little bit of everywhere. I stay on social media looking at drills from coaches that might have 5 followers to people that have 1 million followers. So that's my first thing. Again, looking at what's going on, because I already have a solid foundation, right? Like I've had great coaches that have poured into me and that have shown me the game of basketball the way it's supposed to be played. And I feel as though I can talk about that and speak that way because I've won on every level. There's a difference between being a player, or I've averaged this amount of points, or I won this individual accolade across the board from elementary school to camps to AU to high school to college and up into the pro level. I've won a championship and been on a championship team. So I understand how to be a winner. And that's what the game of basketball is about in the first place, right? You're a team and you need to figure out ways to win. So I think as a trainer, what I've learned and I ran into initially was assuming that maybe kids know more about the game than they actually do, right? In terms of movement and systems. And I think the best thing we can do is teach kids concepts and systems, right? I think the majority of players and kids right now, they're definitely way more skilled because they're just training more and they're working on moves. But the issue is that you don't know when to implement these moves. And respectfully, as you get to higher levels, you're only going to have a split second to make a decision, meaning everyone isn't going to have the green light. So everyone isn't going to be able to take more than 3 dribbles to execute or make a decision. And so a lot of times I hate it. I do it at times, but I've grown and learned how to structure my workouts where there's constant moving. I hate a line. I hate a cone, and I hate 10 people waiting in line to do a move because that just isn't realistic, right? In the game, there are going to be other players on the court, and you're going to be playing with people and against people. And so I think the best thing like we can do is, again, help kids to understand concepts at an early age, learn to kick the ball up and not keep it because I want to score the basket. Give kids, or when you're training, put constraints in order in goals, because I think other thing is that people aren't completing tasks, right? Like we have to complete goals. I think about sometimes when you're training with kids, like if you got to dribble the ball for 5 seconds, or we're making 10, right? But we want to be efficient in shooting 10. We just don't want to shoot 10 shots. We want to shoot 10 game-like shots so that you can actually get development, And so I think it's just putting the right people in place, and just continuing to educate players looking to play at the next level and their parents, right? Because everybody doesn't know, and there's a lot of people out here doing it for the wrong reason. And so I think when you can tap into the right people and you have the right goal in mind, and you kind of really pour in and build that relationship, then that's the best way you can go about it. But I think if, again, it's just the overplaying. I think the other thing is that kids don't get to rest. I think that grind culture has caused people to think that, again, kids are playing all year round, but recovery and rest physically, mentally, and emotionally is just as important as getting up 1,000 shots per day. And what might have worked for Kobe, which again, he was a great example of hard work, might not work for everyone. And so I think it's important for people to find what works for them. So that, again, there isn't a sense of overtraining and burnout. Like, I think about myself, I've had 2 ACLs, fractured elbows. I'm 32 years old. I have a torn meniscus. Other meniscus probably torn, whatever the case may be. I was playing so much basketball, and I think we could do a better job of making sure that we're not so sports specific early on in the kid's career. I think kids shouldn't really get specific in their sports until they get to high school. I think kids should be doing, again, yoga, meditation, try soccer, try whatever the case may be. Have your body, in these different positions and different movements, so that you're not wearing and tearing the same ligaments in your knees all year round, right? It's nonstop. And so I think, again, that would be my long-winded spiel. Just prioritize your body, your recovery, and just find the information you need from the right people, so that your basketball experience could be the best one, and that you won't leave the game in pain.
Whew, that's leave the game in pain. My God. As I've been doing, I've been working off all the years of pain and playing 8 games in one day. That's why I had to get into yoga. I had to start brushing off the pain.
Yeah.
It's the remnants of it. Man, no, thank you for that, sis. Really, I appreciate that.
No problem.
Seems like a great button to put on what's been an exceptional conversation. I don't know if there's a question I can ask to follow up to get a better answer than that. Just going to end it right now.
We do need to get
there is one question that we ask all of our guests, regardless of if they are player, coaches, media, whatever, because here on Protect Our Queens, it is important that we continue to shed light on women in the world of women's basketball, but also just women who impact the great queens within the world of women's basketball. So, Laurin, if you could just name for us your top 5 queens in your life. These can be women that are in basketball. These can be women that are not in basketball. Just who are 5 women that are very important, very influential, had a major hand in the person that is Laurin Mincy? Who would those 5 people be?
Oh, this is a great question. I love it. I would say the first one would be my grandmother. She passed away a couple of years ago, but she was my biggest fan. Again, she was the one that gave me the basketball court. And she just seen nothing but greatness in me since I was young, and always poured positive affirmations into me that I can still feel to this day. So she was definitely my first. Second would be probably my mom. Has just been a very, very good example of a giver, a supporter, a strong queen in her own right, and just a great mom. I couldn't ask for a better mom than her, and I just pray that the rest of her life is the best of her life. The third I want to say would be all of my best friends out there. I have a couple of friends, they know who they are, but they're making big impacts around the community. One of my very good friends, she's an assistant principal. She has her own training business that she operates. She just went to InvestFest to try to get a grant from it, but she's definitely always poured in the community. And you always, again, want to keep yourself around like-minded people and we've been through a lot together, and she's definitely been somebody that's been definitely influential and supportive on my journey.
Beautiful.
That's great, man. That's lovely. We love to hear that. Protect our queens. So this has been a great night. We appreciate everyone that watched live. We appreciate everyone that's going to watch back. We appreciate you, of course, for taking time out of your day to come talk with us for the last hour or so.
Real quick, because I know Laurin is a huge music fan, and
Yeah.
Marcus, you can weigh in after her because I'm a little curious. I've been seeing a lot of dialogue, a lot of conversation, a lot of controversy out here. Laurin, what do you think about Kendrick Lamar performing at the Super Bowl? What was your takeaway on that? What was your reaction?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't get into it a lot. I was watching all the uproar and the outrage. And personally, I love Lil Wayne. He's one of my favorite artists. I'm not sure about how he performs though. I've been hearing some conflicting views on his performances. And so when it comes to that, and I'm going to pay for a concert, for me, again, like you said, I'm a big music nut. I like going to concerts. I'm only going to go see the artist if I know they're going to give me a good performance. So everyone isn't a good entertainer. And I think, honestly, Kendrick Lamar, if you look at his, his portfolio, his resume, I think about his visuals. He has the biggest song of the year. I think he's just going to bring probably a very impactful performance to the Super Bowl. I mean, look at all the visuals. It's just there. So that's my honest take on it. Like it was a good pick. It is what it is. And everyone should just, get rid of the fake outrage. It's just fake outrage.
You said exactly how I feel. He's going to put on a great show. He's going to let people know if they don't know already.
Yeah.
He puts on a great show.
Yeah, he puts on a show. He's a showman. Yes, yeah. That's what it is. He's a showman. And I would pay you to see him too.
All right. Had to get that take from our queen because I know she's a music person, so I wanted to get that from her. Yeah.
That's no problem. I mean, I think like the Super Bowl isn't a concert.
I love you, Wayne.
I think that's my thing. Like the Super Bowl is not a concert. The Super Bowl is just like a performance that's happening. Like it's all on TV. I love Lil Wayne. I think Lil Wayne's great. I don't know if Lil Wayne is the person that you would tap for a televised like set that needs to be put together. Like especially like when you think about like Usher's was great. Rihanna's not a lot of people liked it. Like it was pretty. Like it was for like these are people who like they do a lot of extravagant things and they kind of tell a story, I guess, in a way with their set and how it goes. I don't know if Lil Wayne. I'm not like a music buff or anything. Like I just don't know if Lil Wayne is a person that when you think of, we need someone to come out here for like 15 minutes or however long the halftime show is.
It's 12.
It's 12. Yeah, like 12 minutes and put together some like really quick stuff, but still like I don't know if Lil Wayne is that guy. Lil Wayne is the guy that if Drake was doing a halftime show, he taps to do a song with him because it's a surprise type of situation type of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, like that's like that is more so what Lil Wayne is, the surprise guest. Like the quick feature during the Super Bowl, not actually he's headlining the thing. I feel like that's more, but I also feel like that's always what Lil Wayne
I feel like it's too
better
much.
off as like
too much.
Yeah. Like he's always been like the Lil Wayne's here. Not the we're gonna watch Lil Wayne rap for 12 minutes.
Right.
This is the same Lil Wayne from like 10-15 years ago too. This is completely different Lil Wayne. So we gotta think about that as well. But
it is true. It is true. I love Lil Wayne too. I will say, given the time, I do think it's fair to say that Wayne would have put tons of thought and time and creativity into making sure that was like the best show he's ever given ever. But timing does matter. Yeah. I agree with everything you guys said. Everything. I mean, you guys said everything that my exact thoughts about it. So yeah, that's great. Synergy, alignment.
One more time.
I have a question for you guys, real quick.
Oh yeah.
Who do you have winning the WNBA finals?
That's a question, isn't it?
Or what two teams do you have in the finals, and who do you have winning?
That's a question.
And who wins the MVP? Three-headed question.
We both have Asia winning MVP for sure. Are you talking Finals MVP?
Yeah, Finals MVP. Finals MVP. Yeah.
I've been saying I think we're getting Liberty Aces again. I've been standing on that. I'm gonna stick with it. I still see them as, I mean, I'm high on Minnesota and Connecticut, but I still think New York and Vegas are the two best teams. I think they're gonna make their way to a rematch. So I'm sticking with that.
Okay.
Finals MVP.
Finals MVP. And who wins the series?
Oh man. Whew. I'll go lazy. I'm taking Vegas and Asia. Asia gets the Finals MVP.
She's bringing it home.
I think she's bringing it home. I think she's determined. I think they're going to kick up, figure out how to win those games the way they know how. And I think in a rematch, I'm still favoring Vegas right now. Even though I like certain things Liberty's doing, but Naja Laney has been dealing with injury. I think that's going to hurt them in the long run. So
big
give the edge to Vegas and Asia, 2-time MVP and Finals MVP. Light it up, rack them up. Yeah.
I don't really like this question.
Marcus is an Aces fan. Marcus is an Aces fan. So he's struggling.
It's a great question.
He's
I
struggling.
just don't like the struggle that I've been having to deal with. As an Aces fan.
What's glory without struggle?
Absolutely. We had our struggle. She popped her ACL a couple years ago and then went back to back. Like that was supposed to be. Now she's in a boot. She's in a boot. So I guess if we're being realistic, it's. I want to say we're getting Liberty Aces again. I don't think right now that's possible unless we drop some games because the Aces are fourth right now. So we would have to play the Liberty before the finals, which is what's making this such a difficult question for me. Because essentially what you're asking me is, do I even think the Aces are going to make it to the finals? Basically what this question is. I'm going to stick with the pick I made 3 weeks ago when I did tiers. I'm just going to stick with that pick until I see Asia Wilson out of a walking boot. The pick I made 3 weeks ago was that we were going to get the Liberty and the Lynx because those have been the best two teams in the league from beginning to end. The Lynx have been a lot better, especially as of late. Martin at the top of the year called out Sabrina Ionescu. She has answered all of those questions and then some. So those are the best two teams. I think those are the two teams that we're going to see in the finals. As for who wins, if I'm not mistaken, I think the Liberty have the season series. The Lynx have the season series. I think the Liberty have beaten them one time. So I got to go the odds. I'm going to say the Liberty are going to win it. They're going to win it all. And
this is live. This is recording.
I know it's live. I know it's live.
Is it do or die for the Liberty? Is it do or die this year?
It's on the internet. I know, but Martin and I have talked about this. From a matchup standpoint, the Lynx are going to cause a lot of teams a lot of issues in the postseason.
Yeah, I don't want to see the Lynx.
And their versatility. This season is telling me that when the Liberty and the Lynx match up, the Lynx are going to win 75% of the time, according to the 4 games they played. So I'm going to say the Lynx are going to get it done, and I'm going to give Nafisa Collier Finals MVP. It pains me to say that so much. Believe me, this is a very difficult thing for me to say. It's a really difficult thing for me to say. I can't like
Marcus.
I can't.
Okay, bro.
I can't, bro.
He's over there.
My quarterback sprained his MCL on Friday. Asia Wilson, my queen, she's in a walking boot. I just can't win.
Yeah, your sports life is in shambles right a little bit right now. I just can't
win. My sports teams are just all up in the air. Jordan Love sprained his MCL in Brazil. Asia Wilson's in a walking boot.
Jordan Love got hurt? Jordan Love's hurt?
Yes. And I have to go talk about this in like 5 minutes when I'm done
here. The end of the season? Oh, man, I'm sorry.
I gotta go talk about the Packers in like 5 minutes when I'm done.
I am so sorry.
But it's all good. No, yeah. Liberty, Lynx, Nafisa Collier, Finals MVP. I'm just gonna stick with the pick I made a couple weeks ago.
Who do you have, Laurin? Who are you thinking? By the way, to answer your question before, I don't think it's do or die for the Liberty. I don't think it's do or die. I think they'll be in the win. I think they're going to be in the picture for the foreseeable future.
Yes, Dewey and Jonquil signed extensions this offseason. Their window is.
But to your question, I do think like this is their time. Like
Yeah.
I think they look like they're ready to do it this year. They were in the finals last year. I think it's their time. It should be their time.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go. Marcus, who did you have? You had Lynx
I had Lynx over Liberty. Yeah.
over Liberty.
Mm.
I want to go with the home team, so I got Liberty Lynx.
Mm. Mm.
I gotta go Stewie.
Mm.
Stewie.
Okay.
Okay.
Stewie MVP.
Okay. I like that matchup for the Liberty, by the way. Liberty Lynx. I'll take that
I'm
matchup.
nervous about that matchup, but
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a good one.
No, I'm nervous too. I think it's a great matchup, but I would feel good for the Liberty in that matchup as opposed to the Aces personally.
Yeah, no,
The
definitely.
Lynx are very good. They're very impressive.
Yeah, they're gelling. They're gelling.
good.
Any team like that's dangerous. They're on social media talking
right.
like kumbaya, like they've been besties since this. That's dangerous.
Right.
That's
right.
very,
They
very
got
dangerous.
that thing going. They
If
got
you add
that
the
thing.
skill.
Yeah.
It's very dangerous.
Yep.
When you like each other, it's hard. It's hard.
That's big. Yeah.
Well,
great stuff. Great
I'm gonna
stuff,
take
Lauren.
I'm gonna take
You're the only second guest to ask us a question. Diamond Johnson was the other
Diamond
one.
Johnson asked us the question, and it ended up being a viral moment on our Instagram. Being a viral moment on Instagram. Thank you, Lauren, for joining us on the show and kickstarting the mental breakdown that I'm going to have in a couple minutes on my other show, Pack a Punch. It's always a pleasure to be on the show with Martin Sories. And thank all of you guys who have watched this live and will watch this back in the near to distant future. And remember, again, Tuesday, September 17th, the 1-year celebration of the Protect Our Queens podcast. We have a lot of amazing things in store for that show. So please, please, please make sure you tap in with us. So for our illustrious guest, Laurin Mincy, and for my guy, Martin Sories of the Basketball Society. No, I'm sorry, not the Basketball Society, just Basketball Society.
Yeah, you dropped the
Drop
face.
the
You gotta watch the movie.
Yeah, I know.
You're not
the Basketball Society. I got scolded about that very harshly via text message a couple months ago. It is not the Basketball Society. It is just Basketball Society.
Sean Parker taught us, and then the social network.
I am Marcus of the Protect Our Queens podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, you guys enjoy yourselves some women's basketball.
Thank you, guys.